Welcome to The Blueprint. I'm your host, Michael Della Vella. Today, we are going to be speaking with a dear friend of mine, Executive Director of Village Project in Bay Village, Ohio. Village Project's mission statement is very simple. They're feeding families fighting cancer. It is an absolutely incredible organization that, to be honest, I did not know much about. I didn't know anything about it. I probably passed their market, their storefront, 5 to 10 times a week and had never noticed it until, Meredith got involved with it and they rebranded it. It's an amazing story, and I can't wait to get started on this. So without further ado, please welcome my guest and dear friend, Meredith LaVecchia. Good morning, Meredith. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you, Michael?
I'm great. I am so excited and thankful, grateful that you're going to come out and chat on this morning and chat with me.
I am so grateful that you reached out to me. I'm so excited to talk to you and tell you a little bit more about Village Project.
Before we get started, what are you watching? What are your recommendations you have for me?
I have a couple things going on. I'm watching Succession at the recommendation of a lot of people. And I just learned of Smartless. Have you heard of Smartless?
Amy
With Jason
Martin keeps telling me to do
Bateman.
that. Yes, I want to watch it because I love their podcast.
It's awesome.
Love it.
It's so funny. So
I could not recommend any more The Bear on Hulu. Spectacular.
It's so funny. I've heard so many good things about it, and I've been meaning to reach out to you to find out what are you watching now, because you're usually my go-to person.
The Bear. I finished Succession and I absolutely loved it. I'm a big Maisel fan. Marvelous Miss Maisel.
I love Maisel.
And they're in the final season, and I am halfway through, and it's outstanding. I love that
I've
show.
heard it's really good. I have not watched the last season. I did not let the last one that came out. I have not watched yet, but I've heard it's great.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's just blown me away. I haven't been watching as much shows as I usually do.
You've been a little busy.
I've been trying out some new things. So
I can see that.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
The Bear is 10 stars out of 5. It's
That's
fantastic.
what I've heard.
I've
heard it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a must.
Have you seen Succession?
I love it. Love
okay.
it.
It's really
Absolutely
good.
love it.
Good.
Finished it, and my God, it was great. There was something else I watched, or I was preaching to you that you must watch it, and I can't even remember what it is now.
Well, I'm sure I'll be getting a text from you.
Yeah, I'll send you something.
Thanks.
So Meredith, let's get started. We have a lot to unpack, and start out by I want to hear about Meredith LaVecchia. Give me your background story.
So I grew up in New Jersey and went to University of Dayton, studied communications there. My first job out of college was I moved back to New Jersey and went to the Realtor Association, and have always kind of been in the nonprofit world. Met my husband when I was in college, Pat, and we eventually moved back here to the Cleveland area and just stayed with the nonprofits, raised our family here. But we've been in Cleveland for 22 years now.
And is this home for you now?
This is home. This is home. This is where my people are. This is where my family is. This is home.
I love that. What were you doing before you got involved with Village Project?
Before Village Project, I was with the Girl Scouts of Northeast Ohio. I did a lot of their volunteer development and training and creating Girl Scout troops for communities here in Northeast Ohio. I was there for about 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? I don't think I ever knew that.
Yeah. I was a Girl Scout leader for a long time with Abby and Grace, two of my girls. And then a position opened up, and I loved the Girl Scouts. I loved what they stood for. I loved what they did for young women. and empowering them. And a position opened up, and I was offered the job. And like I said, I was there for 8 years, loved it. I loved working with the girls, getting them started, getting them excited about Girl Scouts, and working with our volunteers who were also so passionate about it.
Where did Village Project come into play in all this?
Village Project came into play about over 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago. I was scrolling through some job postings and just kind of putting some feelers out, and I came across it on one of the job sites. Never heard of the organization, and I did a little bit of research and learned, oh, it's an organization that feeds families fighting cancer. And I couldn't believe that it was literally right in my backyard, the next town over, and I'd never heard of it. And it was just something, I said, let me look into this further. And here we are 2.5 years later.
Meredith, in all honesty, I drive by that place easily 10 times a week, maybe more. And until you were involved, and until, I got to know what you're doing, I never saw the building. I've never heard of anything about it. So after you got involved and I start to hear about it, it is one of the most heartwarming organizations. Got to make you feel good every day you come home from work or every day you're at work. It's just what they do is amazing. So why don't you talk about the history of Village Project? After you tell me the history, how you got hired and where your story goes from there.
So Village Project came about from a cookbook that the founding executive director, Barb Harrell, she received, I believe, from her mother-in-law, and it was a healthful cooking cookbook from an organization called the Series Project in California, in Sebastopol, California. And she started looking through it, and she learned that this particular organization served healthful, nourishing meals to individuals and families in a health crisis, any health crisis. And the premise behind it was that it was all student-driven, with adult volunteers helping lead the way. And she felt drawn to have to learn more about it. So she went out there, learned all about it, and decided this was something she needed to bring back to our community, to Bay Village. She had been touched by cancer quite a bit in her own personal family life and focused on cancer. And who hasn't been affected by cancer? So that's kind of how it got started. And it started in a small church in Bay Village, Bay Presbyterian. And they served their first meals in, I believe it was February of 2011, to 4 families in Bay Village. And that's how it got started.
And then, so you started Bay Village. Where are you at today with communities?
Today, we have 5 communities that we serve. We serve Avon, Avon Lake, Bay Village, Rocky River, and Westlake. So we have a pretty nice footprint, but still very local. We are a very local organization.
If there is a family dealing with cancer, how do they find out about this? Is it word of mouth? Are you involved with the doctors? Again, I wouldn't know where to begin with that.
Right, and that's what we hear a lot. So a lot of times, it's kind of many different ways. A lot of times, it's the oncology doctors that will tell their patients. We have good relationships with a lot of the area hospitals and a lot of the social workers in the hospitals. So a lot of times they'll hear about it from their doctors, their oncology department, their social worker that takes on their case. Other times they'll hear about it from a neighbor who was a volunteer here, or they see us out in the community. We have every summer we are at the Bay Arts Market, and they see our booth there. And they learn about us that way. They learn about us just through community engagements. And that's how we're continuing to grow and develop our relationships within the 5 communities that we serve.
Are you looking to expand past these 5 communities, or you're pretty comfortable right now with the volunteers and the level of service you can provide everyone, or you'll keep expanding?
At a point, we are talking about expanding eventually, not anytime in the near future, maybe a 5-year plan, and that expansion would really be a little bit further into Lorain County because we do get a lot of calls from Lorain County, maybe a little bit further into Cuyahoga. But the idea for us is we don't want to get so big because we pride ourselves on being so local for the communities around us, that for our neighbors that really need us locally. But eventually we would like to expand a little bit further out into Lorain, a little bit further in Cuyahoga.
So you're 100% volunteer based?
Yeah, so there's 6 staff that we have. I am the only full-time staff. And then we have the rest of our staff works anywhere from 10 to 20 hours. We have our executive operations director. We have a culinary director who plans all of our meals. We have our kitchen lead who works with the volunteers in the kitchen. And then a few other, our marketing and things like that. But we are able to do what we do because of all the volunteers that we have. We have over 600 volunteers that work, that give of their time throughout the course of the year. It could be in our kitchen. It could be out in our garden over on Wolf Road. It could be in our shop. It could be at our marketplace. It just really depends what your interest is. We have a place for everybody for our volunteers, but we're able to do what we do because of our volunteers. They're the ones who make it all happen for us.
You leave the Girl Scouts. What led you to Village Project?
It's a great question. When I started to learn about what Village Project did, they provided healthful, nourishing meals to families going through active cancer treatment. And I have always been a very passionate person. When there's something that touches me, I run with it, and I am probably the most committed, loyal, passionate person you can imagine. And I was just drawn to it. When I learned about it, I said, I either have to be a volunteer here, or I need to take this organization as, if I am their executive director, I need to take it to the next level because I just needed to be here in some capacity. As a volunteer, as the next executive director, I knew I needed to be a part of it. And here I am 2.5 years later. The founding executive director, Barb, retired. She felt that the organization, she got it into a good place, but it was ready for the next step. And in my interviews, the board said, you are the person to take it to the next step.
That's amazing. And that's exactly what you've done. Like I said, I now when I go by, I know where the Village Project is, and I see all your signage. It made a difference. Was that like your first order of business is, I've got to take care of this?
The first order of business is, one, just really learning the whole process, but knowing that we had an awareness issue. That was evident from day one, that we had an awareness issue. People very locally knew who we were in Bay Village, but so many of my friends like you and so many others didn't know that this place existed until I started working here. And if those people closest to me didn't know, other people did not know in the other communities that we served. So that was one of the main things. We have a shop here. It's a little gift shop. At the time, it was called Project Shop. And we just had a little conversation about, how can we get more people in there? It's a cute little gift shop. Everything in there is locally sourced from local vendors. How can we get more people in there? Oh, well, let's get a new sign, because we didn't have really a nice sign on the front of the building. And that little conversation led to a much bigger conversation about the organization as a whole, and how are we going to make our communities know who we are. And that's kind of where we are at this point with the rebranding that we've been going through.
Tell me more about the shop. What exactly is involved in the shop?
So we have gifts, like home gifts, such as plates, and but we focus a lot on food. Obviously, Village Project, we are all about the food and serving healthful, nourishing meals to families through active cancer. Well, we learned there's a lot of people in our area that are also about healthful, nourishing food. So we have locally sourced honey that we sell, jams, teas, crackers, healthful crackers. We have our granola that we sell, healthful fruit drinks that we sell. But then in addition to that, it has We have Love Your Melon, which is a cancer cancer company that gives back to cancer research. So everything that we have in there, we try to have it tied back to either locally or to cancer, and all of that money, everything that's sold in there goes back directly into supporting our mission of feeding families fighting cancer, and allows us to do what we do.
But I can't go in there and get a pre-made lunch or a pre-made dinner. It's not
You
like
can.
that. I can.
You can.
Really?
We sell the meals that our clients receive each week. We sell in our shop. We had so many people that were interested in what our meals taste like. So we started selling them, and we can't keep them on the shelf. So each week we have new recipes and new menus and new meals in our shop. So yes, you can come in off the street and buy your dinner tonight.
Has your foot traffic increased since
Yes.
you rebranded?
It has. We are seeing a lot more people coming in here saying, we never knew that this existed, that this place existed. It's a little hidden gem here in Bay Village. I mean, you've been on the street. We're between Mally's and Lake Erie, and it's a very unique little location. And people have said they didn't know we existed, and they saw us at the market. They saw us in the paper. They saw us at school. They received some information home through their high school student who wanted to start volunteering. And they're like, we never knew this place existed. And we've seen a huge increase in our foot traffic in the shop, in our volunteers, in our businesses that want to help support us, whether it be through donating items or coming in for the day and doing some work around the building. We've seen a huge increase in all of it.
That's awesome. Now, am I correct that you guys have your own garden?
We do. It's part of the community garden that Bay Village has, and we have about 6 or 7 plots over there. And that is where we grow a lot of our herbs, our flowers, our vegetables. And it's such a great feeling when you go over there, because that's where our youngest volunteers, we're multi-generational. So that means we have kids from 2 years old up to adults that are 90. I think one of our oldest volunteers is about 90 years old. And our youngest volunteers, our elementary students, they go over there in the summer. We have a kids garden club over there. And that's where they learn how to garden. They learn all about nutrition. They learn how to harvest the fruits, the vegetables, the flowers. And each one of our clients every week receives, not only do they receive their meals, they receive flower vase, hand-painted flower vases, and handmade cards. And they are from our youngest volunteers, our students.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's where they do it all. They learn all about the gardening. And that's how most of our young volunteers stay engaged and involved as they get to high school. They strive to, I can't wait to be a freshman in high school where I could start working in the kitchen.
And we're not just talking about students and children in Bay Village. Are you seeing it from all the communities?
We're seeing it from all of our communities. We have some elementary students that are from Avon Lake. We have them from Avon, from all of our communities that are over there. And same within our kitchen. They're from all of our communities, which is great. It's bringing the kids together. They're learning, they're meeting new kids. They're learning how to work with adults. They're learning about nutrition and safety and how we need to fuel our bodies on a regular basis, but also when you're not well, how important that is.
That's amazing. I mean, children today, again, just having 3 boys, and I know you have 3 children. They're amazing. They're so much better than when I was growing up. We didn't, not that we didn't have stuff like this, but it wasn't mainstream in our schools that the way they are today, that you're doing volunteer work. And I just think that it just makes students so passionate and get that there's more to life than just me. And being selfless is so important. And I love that about children today.
Michael, you're so right. We are leaving our world in better hands, and these kids are going to change the world. They have such passion. They learn from a young age about giving back and the joy of serving and how important it is to be a community, something that I didn't grow up with. these kids are amazing. So
Amazing.
we're leaving our world in a better place with our youth.
So take me through how it goes that a family reaches out to you. How does that program go? That they're in need of your assistance. What's that look like?
Okay, so they could either email us, they can send us a note through our website. Typically, we get the phone call from either a friend or from a family member, and we take down their information. The only requirement for our services is that you live in one of our 5 communities and that you're in active cancer treatment. That's really the only requirement. So from there, we take their information down, and then we pass that information on to one of our intake volunteers, and that is kind of their point of contact. And that intake person will then get additional information. They learn how many people are in the household. Do they have pets? Because we make dog treats. So a lot of times we will bring dog treats for the dog. They're part of the family. And from there, we get them into our rotation, and they can use our services up to 6 months free of charge. And we provide meals for the entire family. So they receive 3 meals per week. And we assign them to do our delivery angels, and our delivery angels are the ones then who pass the meals off weekly to them.
So the angels, again, are volunteers. They're not the cooks. They're delivering it.
Correct. So, like I said, we have lots of different opportunities for volunteers, one of which is our delivery angels. And our delivery angels are the ones who weekly come pick up the meals from Village Project here and deliver them out to the 5 communities. And they serve a lot as the face of Village Project, because they're the ones that the clients are seeing, and they're the ones that are pulling into the driveway and bringing the bags of food and the flowers and the card, and they're the ones delivering it. So they really are such an integral part of what we do, just one of the many integral parts that we have, but they are the face. So they a lot of times develop connections and relationships far beyond the meals and once they're done with our services.
How about your volunteers that are preparing the meals?
The volunteers that are preparing, like I said, in our kitchen, we have a great commercial kitchen here, and it is high school students. It's led by high school students with adult volunteers kind of guiding them and teaching them. And each week we have a different rotation of volunteers that are in there depending on what their schedules are. They learn a little bit about who our clients are. Everything is confidential, so we don't share names, we don't share a lot of details about them, but we do share the reminder of why they're doing this and who they are, what some of the stories are. So the volunteers really get a sense of ownership of, I'm really making a difference in somebody's life. And that's what our high school students are doing. And that's who really is driving our kitchen forward.
So when the meals are being prepared, I get the garden. Where is the rest of the ingredients for the meals coming from?
So we have a culinary director who does a lot of the shopping for them. She's an amazing person. She goes to, she gets the best deals. She goes to a lot of different local markets around the area. But we do have a pantry as well. We have a very specific food donation list because we do not cook with any processed sugar or white flour. We have a very specific list. So we have a lot of companies and businesses around the area that will do food drives for us throughout the year. And we keep it stored. So we use a lot of whole wheat. We use oat, a lot of whole wheat pastas, and a lot of protein, which is what's so important when you're trying to boost your immune system from being ill and not feeling well.
Same volunteers every day that are doing this, or like you said, it's a rotation, and maybe they'll a couple days on off?
It's a rotation. So, for example, our high school students, we all know how busy they are.
Sure.
So you may have a son who is really busy in the fall because of football. But in the winter, he has more time to give. So he can come in the winter, he can come once a week. He can come once every 2 weeks. The schedule is really flexible. We really cater to allowing our students to have the best of all worlds. Their academic, their social, their sports, and their time of giving. So it rotates. So we may see a student a couple times a month for 3 months, and then we may not see them for 6 months, and then all of a sudden they come back because their schedule's lightened up again. So it's a nice rotation of volunteers, adults and our students.
Meredith, do you have like just ballpark, how many meals are you delivering a day? Do you go by the day, the week,
So
the month?
we deliver once a week. We deliver on Wednesday evenings.
And they're set for the whole week.
They're set for
One
the
day.
whole week. Each person in the household receives 3 meals per week. So, for example, you're a family of 4, you're getting 12 meals. And they're all individually packaged. Additionally, we also do create a high nutrient dense broth for our clients, because a lot of times they may not necessarily feel up to eating, but they still need something. So we also provide a broth that's nutrient dense with lots of vegetables, and that's what they'll use most of the time if they're not feeling well. But we're still taking care of the family as well, so they can freeze the meals as well. They're all individually packaged, so it's really convenient for them to eat when they want to eat.
Okay, so I probably should phase the question this way. I get the meals. How many families
How many families do we serve?
are you serving weekly,
Okay.
monthly?
So weekly, it ranges anywhere from 25 to 30 families.
Wow.
And our numbers are continuing to increase. We have had to add additional cooking shifts because our numbers are continuing to increase. Cancer doesn't go away. As more people are learning about us, they're realizing we're here to serve them. That's what we're here for. We're here to make their life a little bit easier. So we are seeing an increase in our clients. So we're approaching that 30 to 35 per week. And we're able to adjust to that. We never turn clients away. So we have shifted, we've pivoted our cooking schedule to be able to accommodate every client that contacts us.
At the end of the day, are you so self-fulfilled and just feel good about what you did as a person today and how you took part in helping somebody that's in need? Because think about it. It could seem so simple that you're providing meals, but if you're sick and really sick, well, it's oh my goodness. I don't even know how to say this. It's the last thing on your mind.
Right. I know, as a healthy person, half the time the thought of coming up with dinner every night, I don't want to do it. It's not enjoyable to me because I just want to relax a little bit after a long day. When you're not feeling well, when you're going through chemo treatment and radiation treatment and immunotherapy and surgery and whatever your situation is with your cancer journey, it's exhausting, it's tiring. The last thing you want to think about is food. We are here to give those families that time back, that precious family time. Not to have to think about meal planning, shopping, prepping, cooking, cleaning up, feeding the family, feeding myself, taking care of myself when I don't feel good. Knowing that we are able to do that for these individuals, these families, these grandparents that may live alone. Our clients range from very young to very old and everything in between. And to know that we are taking that stress off of their plate, this organization, everything about this organization warms my heart, which is why I knew when I learned about it, I had to be a part of it. To know that we're making a difference in these families' lives, and to the gratitude that these families have and these individuals have, to know they don't need to think about it, and know every Wednesday they are receiving their meals. And it just represents hope to them. When they see their delivery angel pulling up, it represents hope to them. Not so much the meals. Yes, they love the meals, they enjoy the meals, but to know everybody who's behind the scenes that is actually supporting them on this journey. Our young kids who are making the cards, the volunteers that are in the garden that are harvesting the herbs and trimming the flowers and making their flower vases, the students that are learning how to cook and eventually provide for themselves down the road, but also knowing that what they're doing is making a difference. That bag of food and the delivery angel that pulls up represents hope to them.
Meredith, have you ever had anyone come in as a volunteer? And this may sound a little crazy of a question, so tell me if it is. That they come in and they've just got the wrong outlook on life. That they're wronged and things aren't going well for them, and woe is me, and doing some kind of volunteering like this and helping somebody that has a real problem. Does it ever put anybody's life perspective and things aren't so bad and I don't have it so bad? Have you ever met anyone like that that's
Absolutely.
in there?
A lot of times we find our students where they're, high school is rough, right? High school could be
Absolutely.
rough. And kids just trying to find a place to fit in. And they come here and they realize there's so much more than the crazy things that are going on in school, and they find this as their place to fit in, and they're connecting with other students, they're connecting with adults, and they all serve as a support system for each other, and they realize, wow, this is what really matters. This, serving people who need our help, this is what really matters. And so we see that a lot with our high school students.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you think you're having a bad day,
right?
Until you walk in someone else's shoes.
Right.
God.
And some of the stories that we hear about our clients, it's heartbreaking, and yet they know they've got this huge support system behind them. We have a prayer team that meets every Monday, and these women, they come religiously every Monday, and they pray for every client every week. And our clients know this, and they are so thankful for that. Just to know, these women don't know the clients. They've never met them, and they sit there and they pray for them every week.
Do you ever have personal contact with some of the people that are sick? You yourself?
Yes, a lot of times, because a lot of times they'll reach out to me. I'll get the phone call. So yes, I do on just about every day. Hear from one client or another, and again, just the extreme gratitude and how much it means to them. They can't believe that an organization like this existed. A lot of times we'll hear, I wish I knew this when my mother was sick. I wish I knew this when my grandfather was sick. I live out of town, and how can I help my sister? We get phone calls from all over the place when people start digging around and learning that there is this organization right in their backyard that can help them.
Are there, again, because I don't know about this, are there other organizations like you in Cleveland that are doing this, or is Village Project it?
Village Project is it. We are the only organization. We are so unique to this area. We're the only organization that provides meals to individuals going through cancer. And it's, like I said earlier, it's free of charge. We provide it up to 6 months. There's no other organization that does that.
So I would assume you're getting donations from people. What else do you do? You mentioned the food drive that stocks your pantry, but I can't imagine the expense to keep this ongoing. Where's that other money coming from?
So like I said, we are 100% privately funded. We host our annual gala in March, which is a wonderful event. Michael, I know you were at it this past year, and it's just a wonderful event. It's a fundraising event, obviously, and attendees get to hear from clients. They get to hear from some of our volunteers that have how it's impacted them, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to come together, celebrate, honor, pay tribute to our clients and to family members that are going through active cancer treatment. And that is our largest fundraising event of the year. Aside from that, we do apply for lots of grants, but we also have lots of different sponsorship opportunities for different smaller events that we do. But we are 100% privately funded, and that's how we're able to do it.
I did get to go to the gala, and it was a spectacular event. And I recall when you were on stage and speaking, and I think there was one person who is it okay to say survivor? A survivor,
Yep.
a survivor who had used the Village Project, and as she spoke about it, it was just so heartfelt and meaningful of how much that meant to you. How much it meant to her and her family that they had you there in
Right.
a time of need. And I just remember hearing that and the feelings of, oh my God, there's so many wonderful people in the world. And then you spoke, and I remember being just like, oh, I'm so proud of Meredith. She's just the perfect person for this job. Meredith, before we go, I have to ask. The name of my show is The Blueprint. I would love to know, what does Meredith LaVecchia's blueprint look like?
So I had to give this quite a bit of thought. It's really hard to analyze yourself, I've learned. So it took me quite a bit to figure out what my actual blueprint was, but I think it's a fantastic question, and I think it's a fantastic way to wrap up the podcast. My blueprint is, as I've said, I am a very committed, loyal, and passionate person. When I find my passion, I run with it 110%. I commit, I don't waver, and it's followed me through my entire life, personally and professionally. So I would say my blueprint, what I am known for, is giving back. I have the biggest heart and I give back. And when I learned about Village Project, I was so excited that I found my perfect match. You know that I've always given back in my community, whether it be in school and other events in town, things like that. I knew I needed to be a part of it, whether it be as a volunteer or as the executive director. I have been blessed and so fortunate to have the amazing staff, volunteers, donors, supporters that have been carrying me through this journey and on this journey. My blueprint is that I'm continuing to learn. I'm continuing to grow this organization. It's important. It's to my core that I truly believe every individual needs to know about this organization. We all have been touched by cancer at some point, in some way. And my vision is that any person in our communities that needs our services knows we are here for them. And that is my blueprint. I will not stop until I know every person in our communities know about us. Our rebranding is going to help us increase that awareness and bring the amazing services to the people who need it. It surprises me how many people don't know about us. That's something I need to change, and that's something I'm working to change because it's so important. From a blueprint perspective for Village Project, we're continuing to create relationships and build relationships within our community, with our students, with business owners, with vendors, with you name it. We're continuing to build those because we all have something to give and all have something to help. We all want to help. That is my goal, is to really reach out to all of those individuals and let them know we're here. In a perfect world, cancer wouldn't exist. But until that day, until we have that amazing cure for cancer, my goal is to make sure we are continuing to give back to our community and letting our families get the time that they need with their loved ones and take that stress away and just alleviate it and give them their time back. So that's my blueprint in a nutshell.
Love it. It's so true to who you are, and it's so authentic, and you nailed it.
Thank you. You know, it just had to wrap my head around it a little bit. So I thank you for making me, think outside of my own little head and really put it into words, because I know it up here. So I appreciate having the opportunity to actually put it into words.
You got it. You got what I'm looking for. I mean, it doesn't have to be, a plan that I get up at 6 a.m. and I do this and I do that. You nailed it. That's
thank you.
What it's about. And I think everybody should be different. And yours is so authentic to who Meredith LaVecchia is. Meredith, this has been a lot of fun. It's been so informative. And I hope we can make a difference and bring more awareness to it. This is probably the hottest podcast going in Cleveland right now. So I think you'll blow up.
I've heard it's going to blow up. We're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh,
we're going to get it
absolutely.
out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so much fun. I can't wait to see you next week. But Gianni and I are coming in, and we're going to do a video and do some more promotions for you.
Looking forward to it, Michael. Thanks so much for this opportunity.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Executive Director Meredith LaVecchia of Village Project. If you're out and about in the area, stop in their shop, take a little walk around, see what they have to offer, and I will talk to you on the next episode.